Prick up your ears. A study published in the medical journal The Lancet, if you've ever heard of it, carried out by the University of Oxford, if you've ever heard of it, finds that 2 doses of COVID-19 vaccine makes you 44% more likely to be infected. This study contradicts the basis of global vaccine policy, which assumes vaccination significantly cuts incidence and transmission. The study looked at all infections reported in England from December 2020 to November 2021, meaning it spanned the Alpha and Delta periods. It used a case-control design to estimate vaccine effectiveness, allowing potential confounding factors such as age, sex and underlying conditions to be controlled, whilst individuals with prior infection were excluded. 44% more likely. This shocking story, which rather disrupts the narrative, comes courtesy of the Daily Sceptic online newspaper. Well, it wasn't going to be in The Guardian, was it? Now, let me be clear. If you're someone that risks severe illness or death from COVID, I think you'd be mad not to have the jab. If I was 75, overweight and with asthma, I'd have more holes in my arms than Eric Bristow's dartboard. But let me tell you that beyond that, the basic rules of medical common sense have been thrown out of the window during this pandemic. And there's no better example of that than the vaccine rollout. For the first time in history, we ignored prior infection and natural immunity and coerced people into having a novel and experimental medication that statistically, given the low mortal threat from the virus, the majority didn't need. When it was clear at the very early stages that the vaccine might help prevent severe illness and death, hooray, but it did not stop transmission or infection, the jabbing of healthy people should have been stopped straight away. I'm mindful of Lisa Shaw. Pictured here with her husband, Gareth, Lisa was a BBC journalist who died because of the AstraZeneca vaccine. Can we get the picture up, because it's an important picture, please? There you go. There she is. Lisa was a BBC journalist who died because of the AstraZeneca vaccine. It was on her death certificate. She was not in a statistically vulnerable group, therefore didn't technically need the jab, and now she's gone, leaving a widower and a little boy. Here's what Gareth, her husband, had to say recently on Twitter in an open letter to the Prime Minister Liz Truss. "I hope one day those we've lost to the vaccine will be remembered and respected properly. I hope one day the bereaved will be supported properly. And I hope one day someone will apologise and be held accountable. I hope it's one day soon. #vaccine deaths." A tragic story. Don't forget the vaccine injured too. They exist, they are real, and there are plenty of them out there. And what about care home workers who were sacked for not having the jab, and the thousands of the same NHS workers who also quit for fear of the sack? Now, I'm no anti-vaxxer, I'm triple jabbed myself. Statistically, did I need them? You tell me. Did I even merit the cost of the jab when millions globally could have benefited? Is it worth the risk for healthy people, and especially kids, given concerns about heart inflammation and other side effects? Well, that was the view of the JCVI, the government's vaccine agency. I don't think they are anti-vaxxers, but they said no to jabbing kids. But they were overruled by Chris Whitty, and the government did it anyway. Put simply, I think we should channel what has happened in Scandinavia. Sweden rejected COVID orthodoxy and did not lock down. And now Denmark have scrapped vaccines for everyone under 50. It's not available. You cannot get the vaccine without demonstrating special medical circumstances and a doctor's note. Britain should do the same. By all means, those in vulnerable groups should have the jab to their heart's content. But I think the NHS should focus its energy and resources, mass vaccination costs millions, into helping people lose weight and improving public health and tackling far more serious illnesses like cancer and diabetes. Setting aside vulnerable groups, it's time to end the vaccine rollout for the under 50s. This will, of course, be bad news for the highly unethical pharmaceutical industry and vaccine tyrants who are obsessed about getting a needle in your arm, including the American health chief of the CDC, who thinks you should be jabbed, wait for it, every 2 months. Here's the tweet. There you go. I encourage you to join me and get your updated vaccination if it's more than 2 months since your last jab. I've had enough of those pricks. I'm talking about the jab, of course. Let's go for the best vaccine, which is catching COVID and recovering, probably something we should have done a couple of years ago. Let's go for natural immunity. Let's go for public health. Let's go for losing a bit of weight and eating the right food. Let's have a return to evidence-based science and a return to the Hippocratic oath of first, do no harm for our doctors. It's time to stop jabbing perfectly healthy people. Not sure why we did it in the first place. As far as I'm concerned, Pfizer can off.